What is up, everybody? My name is Christoph, and alongside me is...
Brianna Kaye. Hey guys, what's up?
And this is ExtraNormal Podcast, where we tell abnormal stories for these extra normal times. Brianna, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm a little frazzled. Can you tell by the grays in my hair?
Oh, Chris.
It's poor me.
It's the holidays.
It is the holidays. I think I have seasonal depression.
Oh.
Yeah. It's
sorry.
a thing. It's okay. It happens.
Oh. Now what do we do?
Did you hear about Goldie Hawn?
No.
You know Goldie
I
Hawn,
love
famous Goldie Hawn.
Yeah, death becomes her.
Well, she said she was in the middle of the desert at the tender age of 20, dancing away. Probably she didn't reference drugs.
On something.
But she actually had a UFO experience. And so
And she was abducted? Like, why is she barely talking about it now? Maybe because it's more accepted?
She was on a show. Well, she was on, it's definitely more accepted, but she was on a show.
Before you just look like a crazy person. Like
yeah, and this comes from the Huffington Post. The Oscar-winning actor, it's gender neutral, said she had been dancing outside when she decided to take a nap in a fellow dancer's car. This is the middle of desert, California desert, probably like Joshua Tree, that kind of. Okay. Definitely drugs. But Hawn didn't get much sleep thanks to a high-pitched sound in her ear, she remembered. It was high frequency, she explained, and I looked out the window and I saw 2 or 3 triangular-shaped heads. So she's not talking about grays, right? She's talking about like triangle heads, which is, I don't know, it sounds like a tick villain, but I don't...
Heads, like, did she see the whole body, or were they just like heads as in maybe like UFO shapes of triangular? Because I've heard of triangular crafts before.
No, heads. Like the aliens their heads were triangle in general triangles. I don't think they actually were like perfect angle triangles.
Okay.
But she said that apparently they were silver in color and had a slash for a mouth, tiny little nose, and no ears. Because they don't need ears, right? Because you think they talk to each other.
Telepathically.
Years later, Hawn said she met an astrophysicist from the University of Champaign, Illinois. Such a lovely name for such a boring place. Who studied alien encounters and triggered more detailed memories about the experience. It was kind of like regression therapy or something, Hawn said. I am like almost in a trance, and suddenly I remember something that touched my face. Hawn said the touch, get ready for this, felt like the finger of God and was most benevolent, loving feeling that was powerful. It filled with light. So she's saying it was like a euphoric, like...
Whoa. Oh, and you hear like when people have had those near-death experiences and they go to that place, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, is that what it feels like?
That's interesting. The touch of this being created that for her.
Do you
but
think
also you wonder, like, was it a facade? Like, they're like, maybe the technology they have, they can make you feel like this simulation.
So they're duping her into going. They're a big fan, Goldie Hawn fans, and they were trying to beam her up.
The triangular head scares me a little bit.
I could not move, she said. I was paralyzed. I didn't know if it was real or not real, she said. So she's kind of on the fence about it too. That was Hawn's only paranormal experience. She said, well, she recounted a dream she had in London of seeing 6 lights coming up on some little mountain across the valley. Later, she drove to a place that resembled the valley in her dream, where she ran into a mysterious heart-shaped crop circle. So she's seeing a lot of shit. Yeah, so she just came out with that. And
no mention of doing any type of...
She's not going to say it. There's no way she's going to say it.
And by the way, reason why I say that...
Well, she might.
I'm actually seeing a client tomorrow that like does a lot of shrooms. And a lot of times these clients like, or just people in general, like, but people that I know, that they'll tell me that they have this like experience when they're on shrooms, and it like opens up like a gateway to like another realm and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, is that like from the drug? Is it a hallucinogen? Or are they actually going somewhere? Are they actually like having this prophecy? It's the same with like peyote, you know, like when you think of natives, you think of like witch doctors, like, you know, they can, you know, shaman, like they can enter these other realms, but the only way to do that, don't they have to smoke a little some?
There's ayahuasca. Well, they say that in DMT, and there's all that crazy stuff, and toad venom and all kinds of wild ass shit that people are doing. And one of the things with ayahuasca specifically that I've heard is that people tend to see the same. The trippy part is people tend to see the same hallucination. Like there's a serpent creature that kind of greets them at the door.
That's
kind
wild.
Of shit. Yeah, that trips me out.
I'm not gonna
for sure.
lie. That kind of makes me want to do it.
I don't think you do well on ayahuasca.
I don't do well on any drugs.
I don't think you
I'm
do
a
well
control
on
freak.
hallucinations. I don't.
My anxiety level. Like,
I haven't seen quite yet, but
you'd be probably very amused. You
probably.
could probably videotape it.
But then I could feel if I started laughing and got amused, I could see you getting upset at me and be like, "Fuck you," and then tripping. I have a bad trip because you saw I was laughing, so you went like haywire on that end. I could see it.
Well, you should just put me alone in a field somewhere where you know that like no one's around, but you're close enough to like laugh from a distance where I can't see or hear you.
Got it. So just drop you off in a field, stay in the car, and just giggle to myself as you're
With
just
the video,
lost.
you could leave me in a video camera.
You would have such a freak out if you were in a field, like a cornfield by yourself.
No, not a cornfield. I'm just talking like open.
Like a park?
Yeah, like very open space.
Got it. Yeah, I was gonna say cornfield would probably be
but
an
no
option.
homeless people, please.
Well, if you're in a park, there's no chance.
At night, that's true.
Yeah, there's no chance you're not gonna get homelessness. Homelessness. Homeless people. Yeah, it's wild.
That's interesting.
It's wild that she just, like you said, she just came out now.
And I hope that other people do as well.
You think this
like
is gonna
celebrities
open the floodgates
I mean, come on, celebrities already have like, no offense, but they already have like like there's already this like stigma with celebrities being different.
Sure.
And I feel like they're always like trying to fight that. So I love the fact that she's just like, fuck it, I'm finally gonna like.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, for lack of a like, you're right, because if a celebrity says that they saw a UFO, you're like, oh, they're eccentric, like they're artist types, they're, whatever. Like it's like I'm labeling, oh, Goldie Hawn is doing drugs in the desert, like, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But if someone like an accountant starts seeing like UFOs, you're like, oh shit, like that person is like, he's a square, an L7. No offense to the accountants out there, but like you take it, somehow, I feel like I take it with more credibility, for sure. But I don't know. Maybe that's all.
I don't know. Like
maybe that's wrong. That's wrong of me. I'm sorry,
I've
celebrities.
always liked Goldie Hawn and her daughter not so much, but like, so if it was her daughter saying it, I would be like, no, bitch. But since it's Goldie Hawn,
what?
I don't know. Her daughter's.
Her daughter's a famous one, right?
She was the one in I don't even know her fucking.
She was in Almost Famous.
I fucking even know what that is.
Who's Goldie Hawn?
She's.
Oh my god, you don't know that movie?
She's the one who was 50 Shades of Grey. She was the girl.
Wait, that's their daughter?
That's her fucking daughter. And she's
No.
a bitch. Yeah. 100% that's her daughter. And she's just like just really bitchy about her mom watching.
Kate Hudson. You're thinking about someone else.
Wait. No.
Kate Hudson. Yeah.
Kate Hudson's daughter?
Kate Hudson is Goldie Hawn's daughter.
Yeah. And what was she in?
She wasn't in 50 Shades of Grey.
Wait. No.
The girl from 50 Shades of Grey for sure has celebrity parents. But
Okay,
it's not the same.
who's her mom?
100% they have famous celebrities. Let's see. Dakota Johnson.
Yeah.
And her mom was Melanie Griffith.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah. She's Kate Hudson.
Shit,
She's
Kate
been
Hudson.
in shit.
It's her.
Yeah,
It's
that's
her.
That's her daughter.
I call her the white J-Lo.
She
kind of looks like J-Lo to me. Like her facial features look like J-Lo. Like they look like they could be sisters from different.
Kate Hudson
dads.
looks like J-Lo.
We'll do like a side by side. I know it sounds.
I
know it sounds bizarre.
You sound crazy right now.
They look like they could be related to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you Google it?
I just looked up Bill Hudson. It's fun.
Oh my god.
He looks like a fun guy. I wish I could flip. I'm all wired up. I wish I could flip the camera around, but he looks like fun. Hey. Hi. Did you? I stumbled on this. This fucking was like my obsession for the afternoon. There was a funeral home in Colorado that got busted Two people who were the owners got busted. Their names were John and Carrie Halford. They're the owners of a place called Return to Nature Funeral Homes. And the whole premise of Return to Nature.
I think I know.
Do you know this?
Is it the one where they were selling the body parts?
No.
Okay.
No, they weren't selling the body parts. But their whole thing with the Return to Nature is like they would bury people. Like essentially they would dig a hole and just
put the body
in there so that you return to nature, right?
Yeah,
It's
pushing
kind of
daisies. It's
kind of a sweet premise, actually. Like
it's the circle of life, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a sweet thing. Like, and it's legal in Colorado to do that, but you have 24 hours to fridge them up essentially after they die. This funeral home got busted. Both owners got busted on felony charges because they had just short of actually about 190 bodies that were just sitting there.
Not being fridged.
Room temp. And
where do they even store them?
They were in there, but they weren't fridged up. And so it got
smell.
The suspicion started because of the smell, and also too there was
could they not afford electricity to
I don't
crank
know,
up
cutting
the
corners.
AC?
Yeah.
Damn.
But they apparently that suspicion there was smells that people started sensing from the funeral home, and also too they got tipped off. The authorities got tipped off because they would also cremate. Right, was one of their things. They were like, "We'll throw you in a ditch, but also if you want, we'll cremate you." Apparently, they were being sued, and it got discovered later that they were replacing. Essentially, they would say, "We cremated your family member," but they would replace it with cement, like dust, like concrete dust, instead of the actual ashes.
Because they were just so backed up. Like, why?
We
have to know why. There has to be a reason why.
The owners of a Colorado funeral home were arrested Wednesday after nearly 200 decaying corpses were found improperly stored at their facility. John and Carrie Halford, the owners of Return to Nature Funeral Home, Return to Concrete, were arrested on 4 felony charges, including abuse of a corpse, theft, money laundering, and forgery, according to a statement from the district attorney for Colorado's 4th Judicial District. The pair were taken into custody without incident. Of course, they're not going to fight. In Wagoner, Oklahoma. Both are being held on bonds set at $2 million. The probable cause affidavit has been sealed, but District Attorney Michael Allen said that he would not contest releasing it to the public at a later date. So we're going to get the juicy details. So it says police first searched the funeral home located roughly 30 miles south of Colorado Springs, so right there, in the town of Penrose on October 30, after receiving a report of abhorrent smells coming from the building. So people would be walking by the building and be like, "Oh, something smells fuck there." Like, and this is a small town, so I'd imagine not a decent chunk comparative. Like if it's in LA and there's a funeral home, the percentage of population that were utilized for this funeral it's going to be pretty small. But I'm sure that there's a good chunk of the town that is like,
oh shit.
But what they found inside was horrific, according to Fremont County Sheriff Alan Cooper. That's a good name for a sheriff, who declined to go into further detail during October's 6th press conference. According to its website, Return to Nature offers green and natural burial service, which allows bodies to decompose underground without the use of metal caskets or chemicals. The practice is legal in the state of Colorado, but the law requires bodies that are not embalmed to be refrigerated within 24 hours of death. Fremont County Coroner Randy Keller declined last month to say whether the remains discovered at Return to Nature were intended for natural burial, but he did note that they were improperly stored. Yeah. Some relatives of those whose remains were sent to the funeral home for cremation told the Associated Press that they believed they were given fake ashes composed of dry concrete. The AP reported that Halfords were sued by a crematory that stopped doing business with them, but that issue did not appear to immediately attract inspectors in a state with notoriously lax funeral home regulations, even after the company's registered expired in November.
But there's still no answer.
So
what happened? They just get backed up?
They don't know. It's not. It's the court filings are still sealed, which means that they're still kind of quiet.
Get your ass outside and dig a hole.
There's no excuse. Like you don't have to throw them in a casket. You just literally dig a hole in the back.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to think, like, give them some kind of excuse. Maybe they're older. Maybe they're the person that they usually have that does the digging, because it has to be 6 feet. So it has to be deep enough because bodies start to rise. If you're too close, plus animals will dig you
You think
up
they're
too.
digging a good 6 feet? I think they were cut.
They
that
have
short.
to.
They probably weren't.
Animals will dig them up.
Legally, yeah. They have to, but you think they were not cutting corners, this funeral home?
I don't know.
It's crazy. Like
How long have they been in business?
For years. It doesn't say how long, but it seems like it's an established business.
Yeah.
But
Thing.
it's crazy. Like okay, you forget to throw the leftovers in the fridge. Like, I'll understand.
Mm-hmm.
You forget to throw my fucking grandma in the fridge. I'm not gonna fucking understand. That's insane. Like,
they knew what they're doing, and the fact that they weren't cremating must be very expensive. So they're taking the money from these people.
oh sure, 100%. They're taking the money from
and like
these
you
people.
said, they're money laundering. Like, oh,
and the idea of like, well, we could save a few bucks by buying some dry concrete versus like cremating. Like, that's maybe like cut corners on maybe the coffee machine in your funeral home. Don't cut corners.
I just wonder how they were able to be inside the facility with it smelling like that.
That's the thing, is they got to be off their fucking kilter to be able to like, and we're not talking about like, oh, it was a bad timing. The inspector came in. We had a couple bodies laying around that we forgot to throw in the fridge. 190 bodies. Like, this was purposeful. This was like
into some weird shit. Like, were they even? I wonder what's the last time they've been there. Was it? I wonder if the place was like, they weren't like operating from there. Maybe, you know.
They had to though.
How you can't, in a smell like that. You think of like fucking Dahmer, right? Like, he had a few, like a body or two, right, in his apartment.
Sure, yeah.
And he melted them down in the fucking tub in the corner, right? So and people would complain about the
fridge
smell,
again.
right?
Oh, my fridge is broken again.
But there wasn't 108. Like, that smell has to be next level.
Horrific. How do you
next level?
If the people are noticing it off the street, what if you were like grandma, again in this scenario, grandma Topples, and you're taking like her there?
Grandma Topples.
Like, do the people like who take them there just forget about it, or do they visit this funeral home? Because as soon as you're walking in that lobby, it's got a waft of like bodies.
Right.
190.
Plus,
that's
like,
a lot.
To do the actual ceremony, do they just lie and say, oh, we buried them here, and there was nobody buried there?
That's the thing, is like, what is this?
How do you do your ceremony?
It must be, because I wouldn't want, if I were like you were like wanted a romantic burial, whatever, and you were like, just bring me back to nature. Or in my case, let's because I don't like that thought.
I want the most.
Let's say that I passed away and you're like, and I'm like, honey, I want to go back to nature. I want to be a fucking tree. Make me a goddamn tree. Like, I wouldn't want a world where like all my family members are watching me and crying, and they watch a funeral like director just throw me into the dirt. Like, how do they do that?
They don't throw you.
Do they
in.
just chuck you in
I bet you they have like a swing, like a bed swing, that lays you down. Do you want to be the one to crank the?
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
But it's like the weirdest open casket.
Unless they had like maybe stairs that go down there, and you have somebody that. But if it's a big bitch, like you'd have to have like some kind of swing
levy system.
Yeah, there's got to be.
They don't just chuck them.
Yeah, and maybe their employees quit.
So
times are hard.
But then like you would be like, it must be a hands-off experience, because the 190 people, right? Mm-hmm. It's a lot. Like, there's not 190 people.
It's a lot,
dying
for sure.
All in a couple days and all donating.
That's accumulation, and plus, like, not everybody wants to get buried like that. So for sure, like, it's a novelty thing. So that's an accumulation.
Is it just like you're just like, fuck it, like Norman was a fucking hippie. Like, I'm just gonna donate him to this funeral service. You guys just bury him amongst the trees, and I'm not going to go to a service because these people didn't, or were there dummies used? Did they use dummies? Like, it's like I need to know. And
I know. So
when
many
is when is this court document going to be unsealed? Because
so many
we
questions.
need to find out what's going on. They must have been there for years. I don't know. That's a lot. Like that's a lot.
I wonder how long they've been rotting.
It must be a while.
Think of that first one.
Ugh.
The first ever.
Can you imagine being the officer who had to go down there and just because
I would pass the fuck out. They're like
that's a lot. That's a lot of just mess, like human mess.
I wonder how they like I wonder what their excuses were. Like, oh, like
can you have
we
excuses?
didn't
at
check
that
out
point?
the trash.
Oh shit!
I was barbecuing.
I knew I was supposed to do
Really
something.
in the back room.
Put those 190 bodies in the fridge. Shit! I knew I forgot. It's like, it's not like me when I forget to fucking close the garage.
It's like, right. It's just
they're definitely shady. It's not. It's intentional.
It really makes you wonder what else is going on. It's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. I got a question. I got another question for you. Let's change the subject. Let's do a good old fashioned palate cleanser because that was gross. How long would you go staying married to me?
Oh no. Oh my God.
If I gave you this silent treatment, right? I was just like, the most you would ever get out of me was a nod. How many days, how many weeks would you go before like this is too fucking much? He hasn't talked to me and fill in the blank. I'm done.
Before I answer, would you be willing to go to therapy?
No. I'm just not going to talk to you. There's family members in the house.
That's really hard
like
because
Clementine,
if we have a kid, like, you know what I mean? Because it would affect her.
Oh,
would you be talking to her?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, just literally.
Just so yeah.
Oh, I'd divorce your ass.
But how many days would you give it? How many hours?
Probably a week. I'd probably threaten you within a week.
Okay. Well,
and I would tell Clementine to talk to you about it too.
Hey, you're gonna get
because I'd be like, look, like this is no marriage.
Mm-hmm. And I just nodded. Mm-hmm. Well, listen, you're not a very patient person because there's a wife in
I am not
in Japan who lasted 20 years without divorce and without talking to her husband. She would talk to her husband, but he wouldn't say anything back to her. 20 years.
What was his reasoning?
Well, apparently he was jealous because he felt like his wife was giving his three daughters more attention than him.
I can't.
So he went 20 years without, and she stayed with him, right? She didn't divorce him. They lived in the same household.
Aww.
And he would just, like, the most she would ever get out of him.
Sounds like a saint.
Yeah. Or a dummy. Like, that's crazy. That's too much. That's too saintly.
Did she wait for like the kids to grow up, or did he finally talk?
Well, apparently what got him to talk is
he would talk to the kids. So
one of the kids wrote into a TV show and said, "Hey, my dad hasn't talked to my mom in over 20 years. In 20 years." And the TV show was like, "What? Like, how fast can we get the cameras out here?" Like, so they set up a little thing to like have a little sting or whatever, and finally the husband, after 20 years, said, "Oh, by the way, I'm so sorry."
Is that you?
No, that's a cat and his tail. But after 20 years, he's like, "I'm so sorry. I didn't talk to you. I was a little jealous over the kids."
A little jealous.
That is wild. What's crazier?
I'm sorry. I would divorce him even after 20 years. Like, because that's not fair to her.
That's not fair.
She, like, basically lived alone. Like, you know, in that sense. Like,
Yeah,
it's like there was a warm body next to her, but they're like, whatever she was mentally going through and her hardships, she had to do that all by herself, you know? Because even with kids, like, you know, I can tell Clementine, I know I had a bad day, but she's not going to really grasp what I'm really feeling because she's still a kid, and you don't want to throw all that stuff on your children either, you know, because that's too much for them. And So that's really horrible.
What
an asshole?
Yeah, he's an asshole. For who's crazier, the guy who wouldn't talk to his wife for 20 years, or the wife who stayed with him for 20 years? Who's the crazier one in that?
Maybe it's in Japan. Like
It's in
maybe
Japan.
it's like a cultural thing too, where like the respect and and I get it, like the judgment of divorce. It's a lot. It takes a lot for people to really go through with it, especially if it is a dysfunctional like relationship. I think that 100%. If she's like, hey, we need to get therapy, we need like, fuck.
Nods.
Yeah.
What if he went to therapy and he just nodded? Like the therapist is like, how do you feel? And he just nodded.
I think at that point, even the therapist would be like divorce his motherfucking
You need to leave this dude because this guy is wild.
Yeah.
Fucking wild.
That's insane. There's no way I would
that is maybe one of the most
lucky.
petty.
Yeah, you'd be lucky if it was a week.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh my God.
Because I mean, even when we were first dating, like I remember I told you I don't like closed doors.
Okay.
And I don't like it when you just like walk away. Like we have to like talk about our issues. Even if like we're fighting, arguing, yelling, screaming, it's better to get it out and to move on, And I think that's really been healthy for our relationship, Now we're marriage counselors one-on-one. But honestly, like I've always like my family, is dysfunctional. I'm not trying to say that we're better than anybody else.
Wow.
But one thing
you're going to say that.
One thing I will say that has been healthy is that we can literally express how we feel with each other openly, whether the other one likes it or not, whether they want to take some time to like not talk to each other, we would do that. And then after we
take a little walk.
And then after we got like over our shit, it would be like, I miss you, kind of a thing,
Yeah.
And so I think that's really, really healthy to talk about your issues because like, especially men and women, like we think so much differently. The whole men are from Mars and women are from Venus.
Is that, do people still read that fucking book?
I really, truly think that there's definitely merit to that. Like I do definitely think that the way that you think and the way that I think, like women have this mentality where like, I'm not going to say how I feel to my man because he should know and he should know like what to buy me and he should know what to do for me that makes me feel good. The truth of the matter is you don't fucking know. And it's not that it doesn't mean that you're not compassionate. You just genuinely don't fucking know. And we need to guide you on our feelings because we all are different and that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, there is generally between the two of us, there is a little more directness and stuff like that. And, so I don't know. I think that is fucking insane. And can you imagine the scarring on those fucking kids?
Yeah.
Like
I would never want to get married or, I would probably hate my dad for sure.
It's even worse. I feel like it's even worse than divorce because a divorce, you're like, oh, mommy, daddy didn't work out. Things happen. Eventually you figure out that it's not your fault. But like,
God, talk about a stubborn ass. You hear about
that's pretty
stubborn
stubborn
people?
That's pretty stubborn.
That is like the king.
Yeah, and it's just how we casually brought up, like, oh, by the way, sorry. How do you have conversations?
How do you go back to
how has the last 2 decades
who you were? Yeah, like how do you?
You don't. You just have a weird.
Did they stay together?
It doesn't say they divorced. It says that she heard him out and she basically forgave him.
But why didn't he just tell her that from the beginning?
About him being jealous?
Why didn't he just say we need a date night? Like, let's have our parents watch the kid. You know what I mean? Like, it just, if the kids were at school or like sports, like, they could have had time together.
It's fucking wild. It's wild.
I'll never understand that. There's no way you can make me understand that man and his philosophy because that's not okay. And I get it. Like sometimes, especially moms, they give too much attention to their kids, and I can't imagine having 3, and they need more attention. And so
men are basically little babies on there.
So men should, but he should be honest and been, like how me and you will be like, oh, we need a date night, Well,
like, honest and realistic too. Like realistic that like the kids are gonna come first. Like that's just the natural order of things. Like he's not.
Speaking of which, you want to hear what Clementine asked me in the bathroom?
Sure.
It was like so random. She was like, Mommy, who do you love more, me or Daddy?
Oh.
And I just was like, how would you like it if I asked you that question? I said, that's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
And I love you equally, just like I would expect you to love me and Daddy equally. You don't ask that. And then she's like, oh, like I didn't mean it like that. But it was just like, because about it being wet in the bathroom, like, like on the floor.
Yeah.
And I was telling you what was going on because you're like, what's happening? And so it's like, oh, Clementine's like drying up the floor that she got all wet. And she just, for whatever that reason was, she thought I was taking your side. I don't know the mentality. Today, she was very, very insecure.
She's an only child, and sometimes she's subject to only childness.
On the way to school, it was a conversation of how I always take my nephew's side instead of her side.
Why do you?
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I don't want to start.
I'm one of those parents that
I never ignore me for 20 years.
I never want to assume that my child is perfect, and my child is amazing, and I love her.
None of them are perfect.
She's sweet, kind, and all the things, but no one's perfect. And so when someone comes to me with a problem with her, I'm always going to evaluate the situation, listen to both sides of the story.
Sure.
But sometimes she'll take it as me taking their side because they were the ones who told me first. And I'd be like, Clementine, and then I want to have a conversation with her, but she takes it the wrong way. Like, sure. Oh, well, you're taking it. Well, no, you come over and now tell me your side of the story now. He just beat you to the punch. So, so she was just having one of those days.
Fun times.
Oh my God.
We haven't talked about yet. I think because it's fairly recent, but your mind was blown a little bit when we watched TV the other night because you had no idea about the Mothman phenomenon. Like of all the conspiracy stuff that you've seen, all the stuff that you've
I've heard of the Mothman, like maybe someone passing talked about it, and I literally thought it was a comic book.
No. Well, it's a Chicago, man.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I literally thought it was a comic book. It sounds like so.
Based on that, are you
a
believer in them? There's been a lot of sightings. I mean, I don't know about the credulity.
I go back and forth. I believe that it could have been. I believe yes. I believe there's potentially maybe these like I don't even want to say moth, but these beings that are wing humanoid, because biblically it talks about creatures like that, like
the angels,
humanoid.
Did they have wings? The angels actually have wings, or is that something we made up?
And they have like some of them have hoofs, like Cupid, like the
stupid Cupid.
So
Cupid has hoofs. He does, right?
They're supposed to look like.
Is Cupid? Did Cupid come from the Bible?
Like the cherub. So when you think of like a cherub, that's what they actually depict. They're depicted.
Yeah, but is
Cupid's like no, it's like Greek mythology.
Who made up Cupid?
But he looks like
Greek,
a baby.
Right?
Like he looks like a baby. Like so when I think of Cupid, I think of like the cherubs that are in the Bible.
Got it. Got it.
And so they're actually like creepy. I think they have like 6 arms or something. It's all like in the Bible. You should look it up right now. I believe that is one theory that could be true. I also believe another theory of obviously the government doing some kind of experiment, like trying to make these like X-Men humanoids. I've always believed that is a real thing. There was like an island that they used to like do
V or whatever it is from the boys.
Yeah, I believe that they're really trying to do that if they haven't already. So I believe that maybe that was one of them. I also believe that it could be like a whole like what was the name of the guy that wore the iron suit, or what was it?
Iron Man?
It was not Iron Man. No, it was like from the 50s, like
The Rocketeer?
Closer. There's another name for him. There's another one.
Man who flew
like he flew, like he had like a little like backpack.
That's a Rocketeer.
Is it the Rocketeer?
I mean, it was based off of like the Rocketeer, as far as I know, where I'm pretty limited on my knowledge. I love that movie, but I think it was based on it was a 50s-esque like character, like the shadow and stuff like that, a radio play.
Yeah.
But I don't
So
know.
I believe that there could be some kind of jetpack type deal that they've
Really, that they're
created.
experiencing, like the Vulture from
And then
Spider-Man.
so I think and there is proof that they did do those kind of like experiments with the jetpacks.
Yeah.
So maybe they got more experience and they added the wings so you can be gliding.
To look cooler,
Because I think with a jetpack you don't have as much control, but if you were winged, you could go left, right, down, and up. So it would be a lot easier. So maybe from far away, it looked a little bit more creepy.
Maybe.
And they're wearing a mask. And maybe the mask like had like the goggles that looked. So when you're moving fastly, maybe it did resemble a Mothman. So
maybe, yeah. And I think, sorry, I'm just making sure we're still recording on the camera. But I think that, there's so many experiments were probably done in those military bases. I don't know if they got to the point where they had flying birdmen around. But I think,
they in one of the videos we were watching, they talked about red eyes. That could have been just like night vision.
sure, it's like how it caught the lights or whatever. Do you think so? Based on that, do you think do you think Mothman is real? Do you think in some sense there's like, is there a creature that has wings that's humanoid?
Oh yeah, potentially, 100%.
And if so, do you think, we had a discussion afterwards, like, do you think that it is still around? Because it doesn't seem like, even if it were like, let's say in the scenario where it's like, let's just go full comic book and like government is secretly working on these new creatures and one of them gets out, or they just let it fly around just for experiments, whatever. They doesn't seem like they could procreate because there's not you would imagine it's not Noah's Ark situation in the government facility. Like, do you think there is still a Mothman like floating out there?
Maybe a hybrid.
Maybe something
like maybe he got down with, if he was part humanoid, he could have got freaky deaky.
Yeah,
He probably got freaky deaky with some human lady and then ripped her head off.
Oh, but how would she have the baby? He just waited till he captured her and kept her in shackles until she had the baby.
I don't know how moths. Let's say how do moths?
Fuck?
We know they get down like butterflies. They're flying and they're on top of each other.
Moths procreate.
I think they do it like the way we do it.
The male moth flies around seeking pheromones released by a female. When he finds her, they will face away from each other because they feel dirty to join abdomens.
Yeah. Where
their genitals are located, then he will transfer the sperm to her for fertilization.
The way you're reading this. So she's not pregnant, right? Are they actually pregnant?
Do moths?
Because I don't know, because it's an insect. I just assume eggs are somehow fertilized, but
there's probably eggs, but you have to fertilize them. They still have to get a little.
So he shoots the stuff up. So she already has eggs up there.
Your theory is already falling. Your theory is falling apart quickly.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I think that there is potential to maybe he captures her, traps her, and hooks up with her, rapes, and maybe forces her to like.
Yeah. Okay.
Because if he's,
I'm not saying you're okay.
No,
it's definitely a theory. It's a theory.
Because insects, animals, they want to procreate, right? They
yeah. It's the name of the game for all.
It's just they just want to reproduce. It's like reproduce.
Just trying to get it out there.
So maybe that's what he's just, because that's part of the instinct of the insect, and that maybe that's what he's trying to do.
He's just trying to like quick
and get
wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
He's trying to get his rocks off.
I don't know why, but I feel like insects don't enjoy having sex. I feel like it's more to reproduce. I just don't.
Most animal species, I think, don't. Like most animals don't enjoy it. Like it's like it's not a, like humans are, I think, are fairly unique in terms of it not being just like a procreation drive. Like it's like we do it for pleasure more than any other animals. Like I think that's what
some of us.
I heard. I heard that in a book once. I don't. Is there any like animals? Is there any animal species that are like getting down for just the party of it?
I think it's
I
just
don't
a
think
natural
so.
instinct.
Especially
I really
bird
do.
types.
Yeah,
Like they're
I
just
want
like
to say I think it's like a natural instinct.
it's like a dump
Birds
and
don't
run.
have sex.
Birds
right?
don't.
They just
Weird.
they have eggs, right?
Yeah, but you gotta get
Gotta
the
lay
eggs.
the egg.
You gotta get the eggs in somehow. You gotta make. Takes two to tangle.
Hey,
Tangle.
I can't imagine a bird having sex.
Two birds. We did it. The act of mating. Let's see. Birds mate with what is known as cloacal kiss. The male mounts the female from behind, balancing on her back. It's called the cloacal kiss.
Okay, wait. Okay, what about chickens?
Chickens? There's literally
roosters,
a picture.
I thought roosters just.
I don't want to screw up the wire system, but there's literally pictures of chickens getting the cloacal kiss on.
Oh my god!
It's
by a rooster. That's
a rooster.
wild.
Yeah, a rooster.
I just thought that
hops on
they
the back.
have the egg, and then they lay it, and then the.
You thought it was like a
maybe like fish.
Joseph
fish,
and Jesus thing, like a magical insemination.
No, you like fish. Fish just lay eggs, and then the men go. The male fish just goes over and does their little
sprinkles his little fairy dust.
Yeah.
Is that clearly we don't,
that now.
guys? We don't know how sex works. This is wild. I've never heard of the cloacal kiss. It's it's disgusting.
We should watch National Geographic.
We need
there's
to.
a special on animals mating.
There's gotta be, right? There's gotta be. Like,
one of my clients actually told me that's how her daughter. That's how her daughter. That's how her daughter figured out.
Oh, okay.
That's what humans do, because she was like, "Mommy,
yeah,
like if animals do that,
and we're animals,
then what do we do?" And then her mom was just like, "Well, now we're having a conversation.
Now it's time. Thank you, National Geographic. You sons.
Yeah."
She should find it out on the internet like every other kid. The fucking Wild West. I can't even imagine. You caught your daughter like with making out. She clearly knows what making out is.
Yeah, she thought I said make it, and I was like, "How do you even know what that?"
Oh, she knows. You just.
And she like looked at me. She heard it from somewhere, because we're not
like
talking
about. Hey,
we don't talk about we don't talk about making out.
We don't do the cloacal kiss in front of her.
Yeah, well, we just peck, So.
Yeah. Yeah. I would honestly, if I were you, I'd feel grateful that all she's mentioning is making out.
Well,
at this
now
point,
she knows other stuff.
Well, I mean, she knows rudimentary stuff, and we did it as a defense type of thing to get ahead of the fucking craziness that she's obviously hearing.
Rather have her hear it from us than out there.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. What I gotta ask you this, because this is spurred on by a couple of stories that I saw. What is the weirdest thing you've ever seen in a thrift store? Does anything come to mind? What's the weirdest thing you purchased in a thrift store? I know you bought a lot of used panties back in the day, but
no,
I'm fucking with you.
Never. What have I mean? I think I buy normal stuff at the thrift store.
Yeah, just clothes, nothing bizarre.
A vintage creepy doll.
Yeah. What would you do
possessed?
If you were strolling around in Florida and you saw in the glass case there's a human skull up for sale? Would you buy it?
Yes and no, because I was like, what if it was like somebody that was murdered?
Yeah.
And then you're like,
the ghosts will follow you.
No,
home.
not even that. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, what are you doing with this skull? Did you kill somebody? Like somehow later on it comes back to you. But really, there was actual human skull.
Mm-hmm.
Where?
This is coming from Fox News. The Lee County Sheriff's Office Major Crimes Unit detectives were alerted to a thrift store in North Fort Myers after a skull was located inside on Saturday. Deputies say the shopper, who happened to be an anthropologist, noticed the skull in the Halloween section and realized it was human. So they didn't even know they had a human skull. They were like, "Look at this."
Or
I think that's probably honest because
where the hell did they get that from, though?
deputies say, let's try to suss it out. Deputies say the shopper, who was an anthropologist, noticed the skull. Yeah. After further investigation, detectives on the scene, English is funny, believe the skull to be human as well. The store owner said the skull was located in a storage unit that was purchased years ago. The Lee County Sheriff Office is now working in conjunction with District 21 Medical Examiner's Office to facilitate further testing on the skull.
Yeah.
Investigators
The
believe
teeth are intact. Maybe they can find out.
the investigators believe that the case is not suspicious. Okay, that's all in a storage unit. There's a story. Is this from the funeral home? Just like, but that's wild. So they didn't even know. They're like, look at this fun Halloween decoration we have. And an anthropologist who's like an expert in that kind of shit was like, guys, I don't know if you know this, but this is a human skull. Like, you need to like.
I would like, of course, me being me.
Yeah.
I would be like, so like, is your store haunted? Like,
So we take 5 for it.
Have you had? Yeah. No, well, that too. But no, I'd be like, has there been any paranormal activity in your shop? You know.
What? How many suspicious items are floating around in storage units? There's got to be a lot.
I literally
right?
thought you were gonna say a dildo.
No, dildos are pretty common.
You think so in a thrift store?
I don't know.
That's why I was like, I've never even seen one. So
But we
that's
found
where I went.
I mentioned months ago that we found dildos in Target. They're now selling vibrators in Target.
That's wild.
That's pretty crazy.
What section?
In Target, it's like in the feminine needs section because ladies have needs.
Feminine needs. So like with next to the tampons, there's.
I think so. Yeah.
Choose your pleasure.
Here's some fun for the other 3 weeks. Yeah, it's just there's all kinds, because I also saw too that apparently there's like in a southeastern Wisconsin, a thrift store also had a cluster bomb and ammunition that was found with a donation. So someone dropped off donation saying, "Hey, here's my shitty old t-shirts. Here's an old piece of furniture. Gotta go." And they like open up the donation and they're like, "Holy shit, there's ammunition in here." So someone just like,
You think that was an accident?
I think
he probably left the wrong bag. He's probably like, damn it.
Fuck, it's evidence now. I think honestly, that person was probably like, well, maybe he sold the gun off and he had all the spare. He's like, someone could use this. Someone will buy this. But you can't just go selling ammunition and bomb clusters.
I think either he was hiding it from someone.
You think so? You think it was suspicious?
Or he did it on accident.
He must have done it on accident.
Yeah, it was the wrong. And then what do? Go back and be like, give me back my ammunition.
No, I think you
After
just
that,
you just hope for the best. Hope the cops don't come knocking on your door, because that's definitely, I think it's pretty illegal.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Oof.
I mean, the only thing I've dropped off at thrift stores is just shit I know that clearly they couldn't resell. Like shirts with too many holes in it. I'm like, not my problem anymore. It's not my problem. Furniture that was falling apart. I'm like, not my problem. It's yours now. Thank you so much. See you later, suckers. I've never dropped off ammunitions or a human skull.
No. Never.
It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. I don't know. There's an aquarium that collapsed, by the way.
Oh no.
Can you imagine sharks?
That's
falling on
always been a fear of mine, especially the ones where like you walk through like the glass. That's what.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's my first thought.
Where was it during like hours of operation? Like was it after hours? Like,
let me see. It was in Berlin.
Poor babies though. I feel bad for all the sea creatures.
Yeah, they're all dead now. So this is from AP News. Prosecutors in Berlin said Tuesday they have closed their investigation into the spectacular collapse of a huge aquarium last December after an expert report failed to pin down a reason why the tank burst. The Aquadome Aquarium, which stood in a hotel lobby, can you imagine that vacation, in the center of the German capital, burst in the early hours of December 16th, right before Christmas, lovely, sending 1 million liters 264,000 gallons, few dirty Americans, of water gushing into the building and the street outside. 2 people were slightly injured. That's good. That 2 people
no one died. By the shark or
yeah, the sharks were not so fortunate.
He's like, I'm gonna die. Let me just take a little bite out of you.
Yeah, right. Prosecutors said they have closed an investigation of persons unknown on suspicion of causing bodily harm by negligence after evaluating the expert report commissioned by the building's owner, which they received on October 6th. So the hypothesis were that an adhesive seam holding together the cylinder, glue, relying on fucking glue. The cylinder may have failed, that the tank may have been damaged by a dent in its base when the aquarium was modernized in 2020, or that the tank may have been refilled too late after that modernization, drying the acrylic glass walls out too much. It's crazy. And that puts a perspective on like when you go through when we're fairly close to SeaWorld, so we've been there a bunch of time. When you go through that fucking shark encounter and you're realizing that it's basically just you're relying on glue and glass. Ugh. Like there's no amount of crazy glue that makes me not kind of second. I've been through it and I've done it, but like I always in the back of my head, I'm like this.
And you always wonder like how thick is that glass?
I don't think it's as thick as you want to believe. That's what she said. Yeah.
Fuck.
It's crazy. Like, and did you hear about that? I just heard about. Did you hear about that ferry boat that capsized in the Bahamas?
Yeah,
it killed like 2 people.
Really?
I think 2 people died.
I didn't realize it killed anybody.
Yeah. I don't know how
Did they just not get up.
I was wondering that. Like, I didn't want to be insensitive, but I'm like, how do you like? Because it seems slow. How do you? How does that happen? Like, how do you, unless there might have been people, because I think it was probably off of a cruise ship.
Yeah, a lot of them jumped to that. Like, I saw the footage of them going to the other boat, but it seemed like the people that were down below were like hysterical. And I don't know if they could all fit upstairs. They probably couldn't. I guess,
but then you just jump off. But there might have been people who were like,
but also, like, I'll be honest with you. Like,
be honest with me.
In the Bahamas, the water is clear as fuck, and there's motherfucking sharks out there.
Oh, there's definitely sharks.
So I ain't jump. I'm not gonna be the first one to jump out.
But the headline would be like, sharks kill 2 people. Like,
yeah,
I'm jumping. Like, if that ferry is tipping over, I'm jumping out.
Yeah,
I'm throwing you off and then jumping out.
I wonder if it must have collapsed on them. Is that what?
It must have. Like, let's.
Unless they drowned, were they like in the bathroom? Like.
Could you imagine? There must have been like, because Bahamas is kind of a place where cruise ships drop off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there might have been some people who had some real like disabilities that might have.
That's so horrible.
Like might have not been able to like quickly jump off or whatever, and they were kind of trapped within. So I don't know. It's just, it's crazy. It's really crazy to think of that, and like, I don't know. You just, it sucks, but. Yeah. It happens.
Yeah. You put yourself in that predicament, and again, like, what do? Do you just jump in and float, and just hope for the best? Like, hope a shark isn't like following.
I'm going in. I'm going in the water? I'm going fucking yeah. Because what's the alternative? You're trying. The boat's sinking. I know. The boat's going to the bottom ocean, whether you're going with it or not.
And if you're stuck at that bottom level with nowhere to go, I mean, yeah. I'd be jumping off.
This is the terror of that.
I'd be breaking windows. I'd be like, "Oh, fuck out of here."
You know, I just realized that now that if we were on the Titanic, you would be a widow because women and children first.
Oh my God! Don't say that.
I just realized that.
You would have made it.
How would I have made it on the boat?
If you're a very rich guy, you probably could have
snuck a fitty.
Yeah.
Well, this has been an episode of ExtraNormal Podcast. On that note, my name again is Christoph.
Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Have a fabulous evening. Make sure you hug your loved ones tight, because we're all gonna die. None of us make it out alive. Whether cruise ship or through a funeral home where they promise to bring you back to nature, but they're bringing you back to the coroner's office. This has been an episode of ExtraNormal Podcast. Again, my name is Christoph. Alongside me is Brianna, and you can find us on all the social medias at ExtraNormal Podcast. You can email us at extranormalpodcast. You can email us at extranormalpodcast@gmail.com. Words are still hard for me. And thank you so much for listening or watching. whatever.